Hey everybody, it's Bust, and today we're doing Battle in Wild with Mech Mage. And so, the pre-whiz-bang balance patch has just hit. It was mainly meant to focus on the standard format, but there were a few buffs across the course of the patch that really kind of caught my eye for the Wild format. The card that we're going to be focusing on today is the Trench Surveyor. This used to be a 2-mana 3-2, now it's a 1-mana 2-1, and that 1 mana is critically important as we look at what this mech deck is trying to do. And so Mech Mage in general has 3 pillars that it's trying to stand on. Number 1, you're looking to reduce the cost of your cards so that you can flood the board very quickly. We have Galvanizer, and then we also have Seafloor Gateway, which reduces the cost of all the mechs in our hand by 1. We have the Frequency Oscillator, which reduces the cost of our next mech by 1. And then we have the Timeline Accelerator, which draws a mech and reduces its cost by 2. This should ideally let us both flood out our hand very quickly, just empty out everything that we have, and then chain out a bunch of units within the same turn to get a bunch of extra bonuses. That bunch of extra bonuses is really the second pillar of what this deck is trying to do. We do have all of these magnetic units between the Skaterbot and whatever the drone Deconstructor generates. Reducing the cost of those down to 0 does let us chain out some pretty scary attacks very quickly. Up next, we have the Security Automaton, which gets a bonus +1/+1 when we summon a mech, so we can very easily play 3 or 4 mechs within the same turn and give him a bunch of bonuses. But the really big winner, the big takeaway from all of this is going to be the Mecha-Shark. So when you summon a mech, you get to deal 3 damage randomly amongst the enemy units. If you drop 4 mechs after your Mecha-Shark, you get to spread out 12 damage. Very powerful turn that you're able to do across all of that. The thing to really call out, though, between these magnetic effects like from the Skaterbot and then the summon effects of the Automaton and the where you at? The Mecha-Shark, the magnetic does not trigger a summon ability, so you may have to pick and choose how you want to drop your units onto the board. Do I need the keywords and the bonus stats through a magnetic, or would I rather play the unit as a normal summon so we get to activate some of these other effects? I'm sure that that will come up along the way. The last thing to really note about this deck is it's very easy to just come out and empty your hand. It's very easy to just flood the board with all of your cost reduction stuff and then not have anything to do after the fact. So the Book of Specters is the big way to draw yourself back out of that. We only have 4 spells in total within the deck, so we most typically draw 3 units off of the Book of Specters every time. And then we do have a little bit of card draw in here to help us churn through the game between the Gorillabot giving us a Discover, the Timeline Accelerator drawing a card, and then the Seafloor Gateway also drawing a card. The one thing I will mention that I don't have that you would want to play in here if you do have access to it is Magatha. The battle cry to draw 5 cards and then give any spells drawn to your opponent is very powerful since we have that very small count of spells within our deck, and then the spells that we do have the opponent probably doesn't want. So she works in here fantastically. But if you don't have it like I don't have it, the deck will still function just fine. And so that is it. That's what we're doing battle with today. Let's go ahead and jump on in, see if we can't get a good game or two. And so, yeah, this was weird to me with the patches. Just over the course of the past 2 years with Legends of Runeterra, they got really kind of boiled down to how the sequencing was going to go. And so there would be this kind of 2-week cadence, this monthly cadence, if you will, to where a balance patch would be released at the start of a month. And then the next month you would get a variety set, which is a very small set of only 10 cards. And then the month after that you would get a full set release. After that full set release, the next month you would have a balance patch. The next month after that would be a variety set. The next month after that would be a full set release. And so you really knew what you were getting yourself into in terms of the upcoming sets. You knew that, okay, 2 weeks from now is going to be the balance patch. There's going to be some changes. The month after that, there's going to be the variety set. I might need to do something to like save up my gems for the new cards or whatever. It's just very nice to have it. And then they also had it set up to where 2 weeks after the balance patch or the set release, there would be an open tournament. And it's just so wild to me that we come out here into the space of Hearthstone, a game that's been out for 10 years, and they're like, okay, we're going to release a balance patch like 5 days before the next set's released. It's just insane to me that they actually follow through with stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess whatever works, it works for them. But let's see what we can do here. Back to this actual game. We're churning through the action here a little bit. Reduced the cost of everything once with Galvanizer. Then we drew another cost reducer, so we went ahead and played it. That's going to let us coin out this timeline accelerator. We'll see what turns up with it. If we're wanting to make any moves after that, security automaton works just fine. We did end up with more of a top-end heavy draw with this, hitting all of Zilliax and the Burrow Buster and the Gaia the Techtonic, and so it's a little awkward in that sense. But hopefully we can still kind of come out here and recover a little bit. Kind of an awkward hand here as well. Didn't have the mech on board for the Gorillabot. But let's see what we continue to hit. Not super interested in Flame Leviathan, but all of these other cards kind of suck, right? I don't have any targets for the annoying fan. I think we're okay though to just take the target dummy, and then we can, you know, get it on board for free and then drop a magnetic on it next turn or something. But not really how we're wanting this to go. All right, job's done. Tracker went off as well. Let me see if we can't get that back up. All right, boomed some of our dudes. Not the nicest thing in the world, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get moving. Do we want to get this Mecha-Shark up and running? I kind of like the idea of playing Mecha-Shark next turn and then being able to load it up with Zilliax. But no, we have the stealth. I thought we hit a different a different magnetic in hand. So let's add in the shark. Let's give it stealth. We'll just hit with the dum-dum we have on board. See if we can't move from there. I'm not entirely certain what's in the warrior kit at this point, if he's going to be able to take down a stealth unit like this, but we'll find out. You know, there's no other way about it. I guess we're about to find out. All right, so frequency oscillator is fine, and then I think we're looking to tie in with Gaia the Techtonic. It sucks that the rushes aren't going to hit, but I mean, our hand just doesn't really do anything otherwise. I guess we do have the option to Chill-o-matic the Mecha-Shark, and then the opponent can be frozen, so it'll be tough for them to drop a weapon. But I'm not entirely sold that the opponent's even playing weapons, and so we'll just go for the big damage burst right away, then call it a day. Kind of looks like Rumble, huh? Kind of looks like Rumble. Get the little Yordles out here and up and running. Oh, we might get to pop off here. Ooh, with another Mecha-Shark, we can go with the Mecha-Shark and a Skaterbot and like a Chill-o-matic. We can start popping off 6 damage points out of our hand. It's a bit of a bummer that we're lacking in what we're able to attack in terms of combat. Alright, well, let's see where it gets us. It's not entirely familiar with what the kids are playing these days, you know, in terms of being able to AoE us down, right? If this board gets handled, then we're definitely going to be struggling. I don't think we had any angles in there with like the snips and stuff. Like without him having units on board, we couldn't really go for it. Alright, fucking Reno. It's something cool? Not really. Alright, we'll stop here. All the units in our hand have magnetic, so I don't feel like there's a big need to throw them down. Like, maybe we should be putting down the snip snaps so that if we lose our unit, we still have access to a unit. Right, with the death rattles coming on board. That's tough. I'm not entirely certain. Alright, and these cards are fucking annoying. Probably want these Amalgam of the Deeps. We need to kind of convert them into expensive units at this point. We get all of our units back. That's how Reno works, right? They just go away for 2 turns. Your deck has no duplicates. Empty the enemy board and limit it to 1 space for a turn. Oh, no. We should have played more units. I was under the impression that we were going to get our stuff back. It's not the case. So what's expensive here? Piloted Sky Golem. Mecha Leaper isn't horrible. I'd feel better with just maintaining the units, though. No, I don't like how we've done this. I messed this up. I got bamboozled on the turn. That's tough. Yeah, okay. We definitely played that poorly. I had in my head what was about to happen was that, like, the Reno comes down, you have 1 slot for a turn, and then the turn after that, your units come back. And so I wasn't wanting to put a bunch of stuff on the board because I thought that our dudes were going to come back. And so we weren't adding stuff. We weren't spending mana. I was getting a little bit confused there. And then when that next turn went by, I was like, where the fuck are all of our units gone? Why didn't we get anything back? And so... bit of a whoopsies. All right, this one's gone. GG. GG. Now there is another card coming out of the balance patch as we queue up I was kind of interested in, but I'm not certain how much we can pull these off. And so there's this Sunken Sweeper, right? This is generated by, there's this 3 mana 3/4 the Azsharan Sweeper that battle cries to put the Sunken Sweeper on the bottom of your deck. And then the Sunken Sweeper on the bottom now generates 3 mechs in hand and they cost 1 less. I was interested in putting that in here as well, but without having that unit that draws 5 cards, I was worried that we would just never be able to hit the bottom of our deck and it wouldn't do anything, right? We do have the Trench Surveyor as a dredge, but all of the other dredges suck. And I didn't think we would be able to pull that kind of thing off, but it's a very big value move if you can do it, and it just didn't seem like it was going to happen to me. All right, we'll try not to mess this game up that hard. All the all the folks out there being like, "The fuck you doing, Bust?" And it was like, well, I had a thought. I'll always tell you what the thought is. Even though the play may have looked completely dumb. I think that that's one of the big things, not only in gaming, but in life, is that whenever you're coming up with a plan of action in these kind of things, you got to have a reason for what you're doing. And it's very easy to just be like, ooh, I'm going to slap a bunch of cards on the board. Look at me. But you really need to have some kind of idea as to why you're doing all that slapping, huh? And... We got there with that game, right? I told you what our thought and dream was as to where the cards were going to be coming back, and that's what we designed our turnaround. That just wasn't how the game works. It's a little bit of a whoopsies in that sense, but we did have a plan, even though that plan was poorly formed. And he's investing heavily in this Automaton. Let's see where we can get from here. We'll try and chain off on this next turn. But no, it works like that in life as well. It seems like one of your friends is doing something fucking dumb. Say, hey man, why you being fucking dumb? You're not allowed to say, I don't know, man. I don't know why I'm being fucking dumb. Not an appropriate answer. All right, let's see where we can get from here. Timeline Accelerator turns into the Frequency Oscillator, which we can play for free. That is going to let us do some neato things to where we can add the Oscillator, and then that's going to make it to where we can either add in Zilliax or add in the Burrow Buster, and I'm leaning towards just going with the Zilliax here. I don't really care about the mana, and I could imagine there being a bigger unit that we want to strike down with the Burrow Buster. And so let's just go ahead and get going with that. It's going to load it up on what looks to be our weakest unit here.
I like it.
I mean, I guess we could have looked to put it on our 2-1 since that dies to hero power, but put it on the lowest attack one so that it's kind of spreads out the sources of our damage. Not bad. Dude's out here cheating on his manas. Must feel nice. So there's a trash surveyor. Let's see what we dredge up. I think we just want the Gorillabot at this point. We need to be finding stuff to do. What do we got here? Not particularly interested in any of these. It's probably just going to be the Augmented Elec. It's the most stat efficient thing that we can do, and I definitely don't want this minion to take double damage from spells going up against Mage. Take our Excavate. Get 2 coins is kind of meh in this space. All right. Hopefully we can start attacking down from here. I always worry, like when we're rolling into turn 6 against a deck like this and we haven't really done anything. We need to be threatening lethal very soon, and we don't quite have access to it here. Just like as we're playing against a bunch of decks today that have no intentions of playing units, it kind of weakens the power of these stuff like the Burrow Buster, since you never really find spectacular attacks with it.
How dreadful.
Alright, dude's got a bunch of spells.
Time's short.
What we got? We got like 16 damage on board. That's boring. That's boring, my dude. Alright, what else we got? Anything cool? It is nice to see a big 8/8 in here, but I don't think we're ever going to get to the spot to where we can cast it. Seems like it's probably just going to be this Circus Amalgam. If things ever, time themselves out to where we get to add stuff to the board, we're going to be okay. But if opponent's going to be able to keep freezing and keep shutting down our board, then we're just going to be dead. This is like that spot where you're playing against Karma Set and they have 700 cards in their hand and it doesn't matter which ones they play as long as they spend all their mana every turn. I'm glad we... this is the typical control deck problem, right? Is to where, oh man, I have so many important decisions to make because I have so many cards in my hand. And it's like, it literally does not matter. Does not matter to any degree. Just spend all 6 of your mana this turn and you did the okay thing. You played a bunch of removal spells. Nice work, my dude. I know I'm impressed. All right, let's see what we can do here. Probably got to kick off with Book of Secrets. Just need something to let us cheapen up on the board. I'm kind of okay with the Chill-o-matic since it does let us boost the health of the Burrow Buster. But otherwise, this hand is pretty weak. Like the question is, do we want to get the Circus Amalgam down? Right, we can spend our pouch of coins. I think it's okay. Like I don't have grand visions of what this what this Gaia the Techtonic is gonna be able to do. Maybe we should have just looked for a way to try and finish this off with the Mecha-Shark, but like our hand isn't, like with the discovers that we took, our hand isn't really set up to do that, right? Taking the 4-cost card and the 3-cost card, we could have looked to have taken just some cheaper ones and see if we couldn't spike something off that way, but it's rough. Also not certain of the spells we would need to protect from with the Burrow Buster, right? We could potentially put Skaterbot down to take it up to 5. I know Flame Strike deals 5 damage now, which is which is news to me a few games ago, but I'm not certain at what point you're like, well, I feel fairly safe with my unit now, having 4 health or 5 health or 6 health. You know, the spells typically deal, say, 2 damage, and so if he's going to deal a 2, and then a hero power to kill a thing, it's kind of fine. I'm not certain at what point we're like, oh, I feel safe now. Alright, dude played a bunch of cards. Seems like a reasonable time for Gaia the Techtonic. Do we ever want to Skaterbot? I don't think so. Like, I like having the option. Like, seeing our unit capable of being killed by the hero power kind of sucks, but we're getting to this point to where next turn we might really need to just, like, play the Shark, play the Constructor, play the Elec, play the Skaterbot, and just have these all come down as units. So we can try and crush him down from 13. We just need to play... Oh, man, him being at 13 instead of 12 makes a humongous difference here. Alright, well, I guess we're not that worried about it anymore. Oh, and we picked up Wind Fury. Neat. Neat.
Such boldness.
Alright, there we go. Man, maybe I was wrong, huh? Maybe maybe the cards he played did matter. Certainly felt like fuck all mattered in that space, so go us. Maybe just doing too much stuff that didn't matter. I don't know. It seems like the turn that Frost Nova hit, everything is just done from that point, right? He's added like 8 cards to his hand. He's taking literally 0 damage. He has all the time in the world to stop the incoming damage, and then he just did fuck all for the next 3 turns. Like, I don't know, man. Seems to me like you did something wrong there. So, that's what it seems like to me. Alright, slightly different start coming out of this one, huh? Feels a little different than those other games. No real cost reduction efforts in hand. I do have the security automaton that we're probably going to be banking on here in the early game. Let's go ahead and add Dum Dum to the board. I'm not certain if this is correct. We might need a little bit more time to kind of come in and figure this stuff out, where we have the opportunity to, you know, play the automaton on turn 2, and then on turn 3 we can start maybe chaining off a bunch of stuff. but it feels like the question there would be, am I playing against some kind of unit-centric deck, or am I playing against what seems to be a control deck? And the point there being that playing against the control deck, they probably have some kind of direct removal regardless of the size of your unit, to where if you're playing against something unit-centric, they probably have to put a lot more work into it. And I don't want to get like super invested in this bot. I think we can probably chain off here a little bit. Like if we play the book, and then we can look to get the frequency oscillator on board. He's going to cheapen up the next thing we play. Just kind of get set up a little bit in terms of getting a better Seafloor Getaway. We're going to have a lot of time this game. He's not doing anything fast. Yeah, see how many armors he can get. Like, we probably need to realistically consider just going for a combo kill. I don't know. Like, that was always one of the problems with Mage back in the day. Was you could be playing against Warrior that would play the upgraded hero powers, and then you just didn't have enough physical damage within your deck to actually finish the game. And so you had to be in a spot to where you're like, okay, well, I can deal like 45, but I can't deal 46. And if it ever comes to being in space to where I have to deal 46, it's just never going to be a thing. It's just never going to happen. And so I'm not entirely certain how we stand in that space here. Do we have to worry about weapons in this match? I don't know. But the thing to take note of here is we did pick up the Wind Fury, right? We got the Wind Fury bot again. And there's a lot of potential just to kind of end the game out of nowhere. And so there is, like, what I'm trying to do here is, it's kind of brutal, is you typically have to deal with a tall unit or deal with width, but you're not particularly good at dealing with both. And so I was trying to build up kind of like 2 medium-sized units so that he could probably deal with 1, but then we would still have a little bit of something left over. It didn't work out with the removal that he had access to here, but that's what I was kind of going for. How close are we to wanting to play the Mecha-Shark, though? Still feels like we should be able to build up to a Wind Fury. Okay, well, this can be a very value-heavy turn, right? As the Blingtron turns up, I'm like, we could get those freezes back onto the opponent. That would be kind of nice. I would appreciate that a little bit. I think he's probably still the take here. We can't quite get him down on board this turn, but it's another place where we can get some pretty reasonable surprise damage. And I'll just take the piloted Sky Golem again. Didn't really have a ton of choice there in terms of cheap units. And so, yeah, what we would like to set up is we get in like 1 big turn of Wind Furies, and then he has to deal with a big full board and not have a ton of health, and then the turn after that we get to chain off a bunch with Mecha-Shark, or we need 2 Mecha-Sharks potentially. Fuck is this thing? For the rest of the game, after your hero gains armor, they gain that much attack for that turn. Alright. Sounds scary, my dude. There's the combo with the Blingtron. We're just a little bit short on mana. Alright, let's see what we can do. Another Wind Fury. Huh. Well, I was planning on just trying to deal a bunch of shark damage, but I think that might kind of be off the table now. Right, if we're going to come in and win Fury and then come in and win... Oh, no. God damn it. These stupid fucking cards. Stupid fucking cards. Oh my god, I hit magnetic on this thing again? Well, this is a great unit. Like my magnetic attaches just are not good today. Jesus Christ, attached to the wrong thing twice. I put the Wind Fury on the wrong unit, and then I put the I meant to play the other thing as just a unit. Alright, yeah. I figured he wouldn't have too much trouble clearing out our board. So we'll add the Sky Golem first, the Oscillator second, so whatever we play next turn, I'll have the chance to be a little bit cheaper. He's going to lose a chunk of armor, which is fine. We didn't have any way to deal attack damage anyways, but this game should be done. I don't think we would have won anyways if we'd managed that turn well, but it's tough for me to really kind of figure out how we should have handled that turn in the sense of what we should be going for, either going big with our board width or going for the Wind Furies. It's a tough angle to try and figure out. He just goes face. Wow, that's bold. I mean, I guess you feel fairly safe at 29, but we just gave up all of our Wind Furies, but that strikes me as a very very bold angle. Seeing the Mecha-Shark on the bottom is kind of worrying. If we don't take it now, we're probably never going to find it.
Unity, precision, perfection. Caution.
Yeah, I don't have high expectations for whatever the rest of this game will bring, but I don't know. We have a reasonable board. That we just most certainly fucked up that one turn super hard.
I hope this fits on the ship.
All right, so 5 damage is the big price point apparently, right? Are we dead to this yet? Oh, we didn't have a mech. Okay, GG. Yeah, again, like I'm not certain if we would have been able to win the turnout, and I need like 50 games more practice before I really figure out what that turn should look like. But that's what a lot of these games kind of come down to, is determining, should I be putting these shark things on the board and then just trying to chain off a bunch of mechs to deal the AoE damage to the face, or should I be going for this kind of tall Wind Fury based unit? And we're really struggling in some of these matches with me just not understanding what removal like kind of exists in the format. Like when we were playing against that mage, right? And I didn't know how much health we needed to have a unit to have for it to just be safe. Like now I'm getting kind of that space to where it's like, okay, well we're playing against we're playing against this armor warrior deck. That number is 6. Right, so if we get our units up to 6 health, they can protect themselves from the 5 damage AoE, and then we know that, okay, the opponent's big AoE removal spells are the thing that deals 1 damage until something dies, and then they have the thing that deals 5 damage. Like, I haven't gotten myself to the point yet to where I know that that's what's coming at us, and that's what we need to game plan around, and it just takes a bit of time. Alright, we'll see what kind of Warlock we're up against. They just nerfed a bunch of the sludge cards, and so interested to see what he's bringing at us.
Error. Hot bucket.
Got here. Might as well go ahead and pick up the Mecha-Shark.
The time has come to dethrone our former master.
Alright, we don't have any cost reducers in hand, which is a bit of a bummer, but I think we can manage otherwise. Let's see what the Accelerator brings up. It's not bad. The Chill-o-matic lets us do battle with Renathal and not die. What we got in here? Flame Behemoth seems pretty decent. I don't think we're going to be getting Invent-O-matic on board this game. He's just it's kind of like a turn 2 or bust kind of card, and I think the ship has sailed on that one. But it seems like we have a nice bit of like Hellfire protection at this point, right? He can clear out the board we have, and that kind of sucks, but we have a lot of refill in hand.
Our gift of the arcane enlightens us.
I'm not super interested in adding too many of these units. I mean, I guess it's not horrible being able to add 2 Snip Snaps, but I kind of feel like we would want to save that for the turn we have Mecha-Shark down. It also involves using the coin if that's what we're going to do. But our hand also doesn't really do anything else. We could look to drop Book of Specters. Let's see where that gets us. Okay, maybe that'll work. Still surprised we didn't see an AoE last turn, but I think it plays more into the theme of what we're trying to pull off here. And then it gives us a bit more time to where we can play these kind of single target things, right? We can get the single target Flame Behemoth and Burrow Buster on board, and then like once we find a cost reducer like the Galvanizer, be in a spot to go for the big damage with the Mecha-Shark. Where are you at? And it's even, maybe we should have just played Book of Specters as well to potentially get the big unit, or get more hand before we drop the Galvanizer to try and go for that big OTK turn. It's tough. Uh-oh, we're losing deck. We're losing stuff. Can we just kill at this point? I mean, he's fucked around quite a bit. 6, 8, 9, 10, 13 on board. Go 14. 16. We're good. We're pretty close with the Snip Snap. I think we'll just add the frequency oscillator and try and do it from there. There we go. I figured it out. Look at that. I thought I was gonna mess that one up. It's like we have so many options, so many ways to just get some damage on board. Let's see if we can ruin it. But no, the thing that you can kind of work with that spot is we needed to like one of the potential angles there is you need to free up space on board, and you're going to be doing that AoE damage thing off of the shark. And so attacking with that 2-1 into his Finley did kind of double things there, as to where it kind of does the 2 damage to face, since we are going to be playing a bunch of Flame Waker kind of abilities, and then to a lesser degree it opens up more board so we can play additional ones. All right, though, final battle. See if we can't make our way through this one without too many more disasters. Call it a day. Let's just go ahead and get this Galvanizer down. We can flood board fairly well here.
Error. Hot bucket.
Trench Surveyor comes in. And then I guess we can pivot over to Security Automaton. Dim words is hard to say. Hard to say.
Caution. Hot. Observe. Analyze. Engage.
So again, I'm not certain how safe this Automaton is. It seems like Hunter has a lot of ways to deal 3 damage. And so it's like, maybe we should wait a turn to get the Skaterbot on it so it has 4 health instead of 3. I don't know. These are just kind of angles that I'm not really intimately familiar enough with the game yet to really understand. Who we got? Free Amalgams. What we got? Definitely don't want the guy that can only attack if we cast a spell. I guess we're stuck with the Micro Machine. I'm not really impressed with what it's going to be able to do here, but it's either a 2-drop or a 9-drop, right? And we're probably never going to play a 9-drop. I'm a little interested in the Recycler, though. The lifesteal could be important in this game. Seems better than a Goblin Bomb. Dragonbane shots everywhere. Maybe we shouldn't have... I was going to say, maybe we shouldn't just be playing all of these 2 health units, but, you know, they're going to have a lot of ways to deal a singular point of damage as well.
Error. Hot bucket.
We'll just do something like this and start to see how these turns turn out. I'm wanting to play double Snip Snap next turn. If he's just going to be chaining off burn spells turn after turn, he seems like the way to go. Making him really work for it. We're just not going to have enough units on board to do that. Okay, he left us with a unit. Now I'm not entirely certain what happened in the wild format to have Mech Mage Mech Warper get banned. Right, you can play Mech Warper and Twist. You can't play it in Wild, though. I assume there's just an infinite combo with Snip Snap, and they didn't want to deal with that anymore. Right, if you get 3 Mech Warpers on the board, then the Snip Snap you just get to play over and over and over and over again for free. And so I figured there was probably some way to copy it or get a bunch of Mech Warpers or just some infinity combo is what typically happens with Mech Warper shenanigans. And the Snip Snap just seems like Snip Snap was one of the biggest mistakes of the game of all time, and they just never did anything to fix it. And so just make this guy cost like 11 and just call it a day. Say we fucked up with him and we're done, you know? Mistakes were made, and we admit that, and now we're done. Now, I'm not entirely certain I feel good about this anymore, right? I assume he's going to do something to get units on board, right? He has these things generating leper gnomes and stuff, but... All right, if he's adding units, or if he's just shooting down our 1/1s, I got to feel good about that. Take quite a while to recover from. Yeah, that wasn't so bad. So let's drop the gateway. I definitely want to play Burrow Buster this turn and then take down to Tavish. And so we can still play our Burrow Buster, and we can play Skaterbot if we want. Frequency Oscillator does similar things as well. Let's see where that gets us. Deal 3 damage. I don't think that changes anything. Right, I'm not certain how much these units matter. We'll just make him put in the full amount of work onto the recycler. I assume that he's just going to attack it with the three leper gnomes, but I can't imagine that he has anything in his deck that's going to be a punish in terms of having these leper gnomes grow. I assume that they're just here because they come on board cheap and then just deal 6 damage to the face. So I don't think we need to attack any of them down. Gonna say no life steals for us. Womp womp. Oh, that was a lot more than I expected. I did not expect the full clear to come, the full clear to come across our units in that way.
Time has come to dethrone our former master.
All right, let's see what turns up. Poisonous, not quite what we wanted. It's like, cool, lifesteal's gonna turn up, huh? The kind of lifesteal, huh? The Farseer. Now, do we need to protect the unit or protect our health? I think we probably want to protect our health at this point. We're going to get more units on the board, right? We're just going to Book of Specters next turn and then be able to flood back out again. And so I think that I don't need to try as hard to protect the Burrow Buster. I mean, maybe we should have, as like the 9th Dragonbane shot rolls through. We could have gotten him to an odd health point, but... Day late and adult. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, are you serious? Okay. Okay. I guess we will Book of Specters and then just only draw 1 off of it. Alright, that's the day. That's the way things are gonna go, huh? Alright. Fine. Alright, so nonetheless, we can pull this up, talk about it a little bit more. In terms of this actually being a good deck, I'm not certain where I stand. Like, I know in quite a few of those games, we just played poorly, and again, it's tough to know everything that exists in all the decks that are out there, right? It's just, when I was kind of in my time, you're worried about an AoE from, say, like a Control Warrior deck. You know that they're probably playing like 2 Brawls and 2 Warpaths, and you just get to design the rest of your game around the knowledge of what's going on there. And so as opponent comes through and they play the thing that deals 1 damage to everything until a unit dies, that's pretty new to me. I've maybe seen that card 1 time. And then as they play the 5 damage AoE that costs 1 less for every armor you have, like, that's new to me. And so I understand that, maybe we need to get units on board that have 6 health, or we need to, if we're going to go for this plan of having a big unit on board, we need a cheap unit on board to protect all of our stuff from the AoEs, right? Because getting 2 big units on board just got annihilated by the removal that the opponent was playing. And so it's tough for me to kind of really piece together like how many different angles we have to follow in terms of what to play around and stuff. That's why I was able to pick up on the twist format like very, very quickly. Like I felt like I got adept at the all commons twist quite fast because there's just such a limited card pool in what you actually need to know. But now as we move out here into the space of wild, like I just have no idea what so much of this stuff is. And that's what makes a huge difference in this, right? You get to start jumping between like the levels of thought. So kind of like level 1 is I'm just going to put all these units on the board because that's what my deck does, right? I'm going to try and maximize the cost reduction. I'm going to get all of these units down. That's going to be it. Then the next step after that is going to be like, well, maybe I want to play around an AoE, right? If I'm playing all of these units onto the board, the opponent's going to do their best to get them completely off of the board with the least number of cards possible, and that's going to be playing around AoEs. And so then the next step after that is like, well, maybe I hold onto a card in hand, or I try to have 4 little units and 1 big unit instead of 7 little units, right? So that's the kind of decision making you're getting. And then the next one after that is going to be playing around the specific removal spells. And that spot of playing around the specific cards, I just don't have the knowledge to do. And so that's where this deck starts to, get questionable to me, is not only are the angles that I'm unfamiliar with, right? These spaces to where should we be going for a big Wind Fury kill, or should we be going for a Mecha-Shark kill? Like piecing that together while also not knowing what the opponent is doing makes this one a little tougher to pull off. And so with some time, I could feel a little bit better about it. Just kind of in general, it doesn't really feel like it has it to me. It doesn't feel like it's doing quite enough. The snip combos don't exist without the Mech Warper. The Burrow Buster was kind of okay, but it was a little expensive. And it feels like we're just bringing this deck to kind of the wrong format, right? As you need to be able to deal just absolute tons of damage. This deck can't do that. It doesn't have that ability to be like, okay, well, I'm playing against Reno, I've attacked him down to 10, and now I have to attack through for another 30. Like, this deck seems very capable of dealing, like, 40 damage, and then if you have to do 50, you're just kind of fucked. And so it's hurt both in terms of not being able to deal enough damage, and then wanting to be playing against kind of, like, board-centric, unit-based games, and then we aren't playing against a ton of board-centric unit-based games. And so maybe in a different meta, maybe in a different world, this deck has something, but the update to our friend Trench Surveyor, while very interesting for this deck, doesn't really strike me as enough to make a big impact on Wild. Nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. This is Bustin'. We thank you for being here.